SCO is no longer vital to Indian foreign policy because for India, there is some discomfort being in the SCO. India is the only established democracy in the SCO, and India has been increasingly uncomfortable about the SCO's growing anti-Western orientation. India thought that by becoming a member of the SCO, it will be able to moderate the anti-Western tone of the SCO. But as the SCO has become larger now, the latest entrant being Iran, it's become more difficult for India to play that balancing role.
All right, understood. Professor, look, so, China-Pakistan relations are going to be a challenge for India. The border clashes and China's continued what you've described as salami slicing is going to be a challenge as well. I wonder whether the biggest challenge of all, and we've seen the pictures very recently of what's been going on in India, also in Pakistan, the flooding. You've described China as engaging in hydro-nationalism and described China as a hydro-hegemon. The latest moves China is doing in terms of damming, how much of a challenge is that going to be to improving China-India relations?
Just last month, China officially acknowledged that it's building the largest dam ever conceived in human history. And that super dam is coming up just a few miles from the India border. We all know that the Three Gorges Dam, which is currently the world's largest, has become an environmental nightmare. The Three Gorges Dam has even slightly slowed the Earth's rotation because of its massive reservoir. Now, this new super dam coming up on the India border clearly holds greater ecological and geopolitical implications. And for India, the impacts are likely to be fairly direct. So India clearly is concerned about this particular giant dam, but India's response has been restrained. India has called for transparency because this dam construction began without any consultation with downstream India or Bangladesh. But India, as the downstream countries, doesn't have much diplomatic room to take on China on that dam. So its response has thus been quite restrained. As far as flooding in India and Pakistan is concerned, this is the annual monsoon season. And flooding in the monsoon season is quite common in large parts of Asia, not just in India and Pakistan.
Professor, you've been skeptical before of the Modi administration and certainly of previous regimes and governments as well for what you've described as bad bets that they've made on China. You think India and any government should be prioritizing modernizing India's own military, reinforcing their own borders, and relying on alliances with, let's say, the U.S. and Japan, as well as Australia. Do you still hold that view or not?
India is a major democracy, the most populous democracy in the world. And clearly, its strategic interests lie with other major democracies. It certainly cannot be a part of an authoritarian gang up against the West. That clearly is not in India's long-term strategic interests. Of course, at the same time, it's in India's interest to manage differences and disputes with China, to have a relationship that is mutually beneficial. So in that sense, Modi's visit to China clearly signals an Indian effort to mend ties with China. But we'll have to see whether this particular gamble pays off, because this is not Modi's first overture to China. In the 11 years that he's been in office, since 2014, he has bent over backwards to win over China. The first major foreign leader he hosted after becoming prime minister was Xi Jinping. And what did Xi Jinping bring? He brought an unusual gift. And Chinese intrusion into the Chamar area of India just as he arrived in India. Yet Modi persisted. He met with Xi Jinping 18 times over 5 years, but that resulted in further setback for Modi because in 2020, as I described earlier, China encroached on several key borderlands in the northernmost Indian territory of Ladakh. But it's apparent from Modi's China visit now that he hasn't given up. He's still trying to mend ties with China.